Hi everyone, it's Miss Lori from the Wickliffe Public Library to do a book talk, actually book talk number 4 for middle grades. I am actually not at the library today. I, unfortunately, am at home quarantining with my family after an exposure to COVID. So if you're in the same place, I totally understand and feel for you. So today I'm going to do a couple different things before I get into my book talk. I want to talk to you all first about the idea of being in quarantine and being so sad that you can't get to the library to get your favorite books. No fear, I've got the answer for you. You have a library within this laptop or your tablet or your phone or your iPad, whatever device you can download an app, you can have a library at your fingertips. So I'm going to just show you very quickly. I am on my laptop here and I'm on the Wickliffe Public Library website. So that's what I'd like you to do when you've got a free moment, or ask your parents. wickliffepl.org. This is our homepage. On the homepage, you'll see there's a bunch of tabs here. The one that I would like for you to click on is called Digital Media. Click on Digital Media, and there it is. It's called Libby. Libby is the app that is our media library. So it's got ebooks and audiobooks right at your fingertips. Any book you'd like, mostly. You click on the little Libby there, and that's going to take you right to the site, and it is very, very easy. Because if I can sign up for it, you can sign up for it. The only thing is you will need a library card. So if you don't have a library card, but your parents do, ask them to help you sign up for Libby. Once you get there, it's going to ask you for your number. It's going to ask you for preferences. In the preferences, just click on juvenile books. And most every book that I talk to you about in my book talks is going to be in Libby for you to read. Super duper easy. So that's Libby. I want to now talk to you about 2 books that you will actually find on Libby. And because I am not at the library and I'm at home, I have to use Libby to talk to you about these books. So these 2 books that I'm going to talk about today are very similar books. They are similar in that they both contain several children characters. They both occur in a school setting. They both have teachers that figure very prominently in them. And so what I'd like to do is, for each one of them, I want to read the first chapter, which is going to be one of the characters. So in each of these books, every character has their own chapter. And so chapters go by the point of view of each of these children. So the first one I want to talk to you about today is called Because of Mr. Terupt by Bob Bouye. Now I am on the Libby page and I shouldn't have turned around my laptop so quickly. I'm going to turn it back to you just to show you what it looks like on a laptop in Libby. This is what the book looks like. This is going to be your loans, your holds, all that kind of library stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the book that I already have here. It's going to open in Libby. I'm going to open it. There's the cover of the book. In a moment it's going to open up for me and I'm going to read this first chapter. And I hope you'll like it once we get there. So this is a book I read several years ago and just fell in love with it. It is also one in a series of books. So the first chapter is Peter. So he is one of the students. And this is Peter. It's our bad luck to have teachers in this world. But since we're stuck with them, the best we can do is hope to get a brand new one instead of a mean old fart. New teachers don't know the rules, so you can get away with things old timers would squash you for. That was my theory. So I was feeling pretty excited to start 5th grade since I was getting a rookie teacher, a guy named Mr. Terrupt. Right away, I put him to the test. If the bathroom pass is free, all you have to do is take it and go. This year, the bathrooms were right across the hall. It's always been an easy way to get out of doing work. I can be really sneaky like that. I take the pass all the time and the teachers never notice. And like I said, Mr. Terrupt was a rookie, so I knew he wasn't going to catch me. Once you're in the bathroom, it's mess around time. All the other teachers on our floor were women, so you didn't have to worry about them barging in on you. Grab the bars to the stalls and swing. Try to touch your feet to the ceiling. Swing hard. If someone's in the stall, it's really funny to swing and kick his door in, especially if he's a younger kid. If you scare him bad enough, he might pee on himself a little. That's funny. Or if your buddy's using the urinal, you can push him from behind and flush it at the same time. Then he might get a little wet. That's pretty funny too. Some kids like to plug the toilets with big wads of toilet paper, but I don't suggest that. You can get in big trouble. My older brother told me his friend got caught and he had to scrub the toilets with a toothbrush. He said the principal made him brush his teeth with that toothbrush afterward too. Mrs. Williams is pretty tough, but I don't think she'd give out that kind of punishment. I don't want to find out though. When I came back to the classroom after my 4th or 5th trip, Mr. Terrupt looked at me and said, "Boy, Peter, I'm going to have to call you Mr. Peabody, or better yet, Peter the Peer. You do more peeing than a dog walking by a mile of fire hydrants." Everybody laughed. I was wrong. He had noticed. I sat down. Then Mr. Terrupt came over and whispered in my ear, "My grandpa used to tell me to tie a knot in it." I didn't know what to do. My eyes got real big when he said that. I couldn't believe it, but that didn't matter. Mr. Terrupt just went back to the front board and the math problem he was working on. I sat there with my big eyes. Soon, a smile, too. "What did he say?" Marty asked. Marty's desk was right next to mine. "Nothing," I said. Benny and Wendy leaned over across their desks to hear. They sat right across from us. Our 4 desks made up table number 3. Mr. Terrupt called us up by tables sometimes. "Nothing," I said again. It would be my secret. How cool was Mr. Terrupt? His reaction was better than being yelled at like the old farts would have done. Some kids in my class would have cried, but not me. And somehow I think Mr. Terrupt knew I wouldn't. It was his way of letting me know he knew what was going on without making a huge stink about it. I liked that about Mr. Terrupt. He sure could be funny, and I'm a funny guy. This year, for the first time in my life, I started thinking, school could be fun. So that is Peter. And then the next chapter goes on to Jessica. Because of Mr. Terrupt, you have Peter, Jessica, Luke, Alexia, Jeffrey, Danielle, and Anna. And you hear from each one of them as the story goes on and tells a story about this new teacher, Mr. Terrupt. So I hope you liked that. And now we're going to move on to the next one. Now, the next one is a brand new book called All of the Above. I almost couldn't think of what the name of it was. It's called All of the Above. And that one is written by an author from Cleveland, believe it or not. I did not know that until I did a webinar recently, and she was a part of it. She's written many, many books, and I'm trying to find it here. I have it on my shelf. Let's see. All right, All of the Above, and her name is Shelley Pearsall. Shelley has written many books, and I've actually read several of them and probably book talked several of them as well. Again, it's about a school, and this one happens to be about a school in Cleveland, which makes it very, very interesting. The story is it's factual. So it's a little bit of fact and a little bit of fiction, and it is not something that I ordinarily would have liked because it has to do with math,
and I am not a math person, but I'm going to read to you a little bit about the first student. His name is James. We also have Rondell, Charisse, Marcel, and Mr. Collins, who is the teacher. First chapter is by James. I don't listen to nothing in Collins' math class. Only thing I listen for is the bell. That bell at the end of class is just about the sweetest sound in the world. The whole class, I just sit there waiting on that bell and watching the hands of the clock jump from one little black mark to the next. You ever notice how school clocks do that? How they don't move like other clocks do? They jump ahead like bugs. I even saw one move backwards once. I swear the hands went 5 minutes back right before lunch. I told the teacher that the clock was cheating us out of recess and got a detention just for saying that. Mr. Collins teaches 7th grade math, and I'm telling you straight up, he's one of the worst teachers you can get at Washington Middle School. My older brother DJ had him for math 2 years ago. He told me Collins would do nothing but talk and write on the board for the whole period. And the hardest part of his class was not falling asleep. And forget his tests, don't even bother to try. Every Friday, me and Terrell and 3 of the other guys who can keep their big mouths shut takes bets on which tie Collins will have when he walks in. He's been wearing the same ones forever. DJ's class did the same thing. Everybody put in a quarter, and whoever guessed right on the day they were betting got all the money. It's going to be a pea green, puke orange, red stripe, yellow diamond, or dirt brown today. I've won $3 so far this year, and it's only September. But then one Friday, Collins did something crazy, like cracked. I was sitting there in class that afternoon staring at the jumping clock as usual, and Collins' voice was going on and on about how important geometry was. Yeah, right. His voice was talking to itself while his hand drew on the board. This is a cylinder, class. This is a cube. Nobody was paying attention to a word he was saying. This is a cold Pepsi can, my mind says. This is a box with a big juicy Big Mac inside. No mustard, extra ketchup. And then Collins suddenly stops his hand midair, whips around, and stares at us. Is anybody listening to me? He waves his arms and yells. You know, it was almost funny. You'd see the little veins in his forehead popping out, and his neck started to turn beet red. All week he'd been giving us the same line, how nobody in our class is listening to him. What's there to listen to? That's what I kept wanting to ask. Only 4 people turned in their homework on Tuesday, and almost everybody failed his quiz on Wednesday. And you should have seen him losing it about that. But this time he completely flips out. He throws his piece of yellow chalk onto a stack of papers sitting on his desk, goes over to the side of the room, and stands there staring out the window with his arms crossed. While he's doing that, the piece of chalk rolls off the papers, hits the floor, and shatters into 1,000 little pieces. That makes everybody crack up. But Collins, he didn't even turn around. He just keeps standing there at the window, not saying a word. I swear he doesn't move for half hour. You should have seen the looks the whole class was giving behind Collins' back while he stood there. Everybody rolling their eyes at everybody and pretending to cough or shake their head like nobody knows what to think. When Colin finally does turn around, he's got this serious face on. You know the one I'm talking about, like we're about to get another long lecture. Maybe because me and Terrell are in the row right next to where he's standing, Colin starts in on us first. I slouch down in my chair, figuring he'll get a clue and move somewhere else, but he doesn't. James, he says, what would make you care about being here? Where? I asked, trying to give the least answer I can. Right here, math class, room 307, Washington Middle School, Cleveland, Ohio. Collins motions towards the window. What would make you want to be right here in room 307, James? Nothing. I hate math, I say to Collins, and the whole class starts laughing. Sorry to hear that, the teacher answers in a strange voice, and once again the class gets quiet. Moves on to Terrell. You, Terrell, what about you? Behind me, Terrell's answer is too low to hear. I mean, I hear it, because that's the way me and Terrell talk all the time in class. He comes walking closer to him. I didn't hear exactly what you answered, he warns. Maybe some kind of contest, Terrell mumbles. I swear under my breath. You tell him about the ties and you're a dead man, Terrell. DJ and the others would never let me forget it if Collins found out. I could hear my brother already. Figures you'd be the fools who'd go give away the whole thing. Been doing this for years, and your class had to be the one that snitched. A contest, Collins repeats. What kind of contest? Just a contest, he mumbles, or something like that. For about a minute, the teacher stands there staring into space like he's thinking about Terrell's answer. Then he goes back to the chalkboard, erases the whole thing, and starts drawing these big crazy lines. Chuck goes screek, 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 like fingernails scraping, he draws so hard. He slashes one diagonal chalk line from the top of the board to the bottom, then a straight line top to bottom, and then another diagonal one, and a few more, and there's something that looks like a big pyramid on the board. Anybody know what this is? He says loudly, rapping his knuckles on the board. Nobody says a word. I think everybody thinks Collins has lost his mind. TETRAHEDRON, the teacher writes in big crooked letters across the whole board. Then he whips around and shouts, "Why aren't any of you writing this?" I yank Terrell's pencil out of his hand and tell him he had better keep his big mouth shut for the rest of the class. I copy the word from the board. While Collins is writing the definition, I draw a guy standing on a tall, pointing mountain with the words, "Help me, help me, I'm tetrahedron," coming out of the guy's mouth. That cracks me up. I turn around to show it to Terrell, and a shadow falls across my desk. "I'll take that notebook," Collins says. The little metal spirals make a zipping sound as he pulls it right out of my hand and tosses it on his desk. And another detention. I slam my chair back so hard it hits Terrell's desk behind me. "Starting on Monday, here's the contest we're going to have," Collins says to the class. I don't even listen. Who cares about some dumb math contest? I know this chapter is a little bit long. I'm not going to read all of that's here, but what it comes down to is that he says they are going to have this contest making tetrahedrons. And the reason they're going to do that is because there was a school in California that Mr. Collins had heard about that had made the Guinness Book of World Record by making a 6-level tetrahedron that had 4,096 pieces to it. And he felt that they could beat that record, and he needed those kids to help him beat that record. We'll see how many of them are interested in doing that. And if you don't know what a tetrahedron is, maybe you can look it up and see what they do, or maybe you can get the book of All of the Above by Shelley Pearsall and read about it, learn about it, and possibly make your own. So I hope you enjoyed those. I know that was a little bit chatty, but I think having heard maybe the first parts of each book might make you a little more interested in reading them. Once again, the first one is called Because of Mr. Terupt by Bob Bouyer, and the second is All of the Above by Shelley Pearsall, and you can find those on your digital devices by going to this website and checking it out. Thank you so much. Have a great day.